Hi, I'm Marty Nemko. Today I'd like to talk with you about becoming a great communicator. Don't you know people who listen poorly or who talk too much or unclearly? Well, we all do. Here are some keys to being a good communicator. These apply both to your work and your personal life and may be worth sharing with your loved ones, with whom excellent communication can much improve the relationship. We'll start with becoming a better listener. Everyone thinks they're a good listener, but it's harder than it seems. Of course, you have to fight against distractions, intruding thoughts, and outside noises. But you also have to decide whether you can think ahead to what you want to say, which you can do when you're confident you'll be able to understand the rest of a speaker's utterance. Also, good listeners see if there is an emotion underneath the words that can be conveyed by a change of tone of voice or of body language. Also, you have to decide whether to interrupt. The default is no, but if the other person tends to be discursive, or you really are short of time, it can be appropriate to interrupt, especially if the person tends to interrupt you. Now let's turn to showing empathy. Sometimes a person's words have an emotional component. She's happy, sad, or angry, and is glad if you understand how they're feeling. You can convey that empathy with a nod, by leaning forward, by issuing a sigh that shows you're empathic, or a few words such as, I can understand, or I can only imagine how that's making you feel. Let's turn now to asking questions. Most people like to be asked a question in response to what they're saying, especially a question that asks for clarification. That shows that you care about what they're saying and may help the person crystallize his or her thinking. Asking a question is also a way to diminish the negative effect of giving advice. And now let's turn to giving advice. Many, maybe most people, resist getting advice. It can make them feel less than, and often the advice fails to consider factors that the advice giver has failed to consider. Well, you can diminish those risks by offering your suggestion as a question, and if you can think of more than one option for the person, giving a choice. For example, I'm wondering if you've considered doing A or B. Let's turn to confrontation, when to confront. As I mentioned, input should usually be couched, tactful, often phrased as a question, but there is a time for the nuclear option, direct confrontation. That's usually reserved for an important issue about which the person has erected an impervious wall of complacency or of defensiveness or foolishness. For example, someone you love clearly has a substance abuse problem, but insists that he or she can handle it, even though it's devastated the person's career, family, even hurt someone in a car accident. In such situations, it can be appropriate to be direct, listing point by point each of those devastations. But even then, it's face-savingly helpful to end with a question such as, am I missing something here? And finally, speaking of we'll speak about confidentiality here. It's tempting to share the person's juicy disclosure with other people who know him or her. Indeed, gossip is almost by definition interesting. Of course, the juicier the tidbit, the more trust your disclosure betrays. Easier said than done. But when someone trusts you with a disclosure that they wouldn't want spread around, see if you can adhere to what I call the Vegas rule. What happens in the conversation stays in the conversation. Great communicators get ahead, and they have more friends, and they feel better about themselves. Whether it's you or your child who could use a communication lesson as he or she returns to in-person school after a year of remote instruction, these standard but too rarely practiced communication skills can make all the difference. In any event, I do thank you for watching. I'm Marty Nemko. I welcome your thumbs up and accept your thumbs down. I always look forward to your comments and especially like it if you hit the share button below. Share on your social media so that my efforts can have broader impact. And I am flattered if you choose to subscribe to my channel. In any event, I do thank you for watching. I am Marty Nemko.